Crab soup with Malabar spinach is a dish that feels like a warm embrace from the inside out. It's a soothing, nourishing meal that has the ability to refresh and rejuvenate, especially when the weather is warm. The combination of fresh crab, vibrant Malabar spinach, and jute leaves creates a soup that is rich in flavor, packed with nutrients, and full of delicate textures. It's a dish that celebrates the natural beauty of simple, wholesome ingredients, and the flavors meld together in a way that is both comforting and invigorating. The first step is to source the freshest crab you can find. Fresh crab is the key to this soup. It provides a rich, sweet, and slightly briny flavor that gives the broth a deep, oceanic quality. Depending on your preference and availability, you can use either whole crabs or crab meat. If you're using whole crabs, be sure to clean and crack them beforehand, reserving the shells and meat for the soup. If you opt for pre-cooked crab meat, you'll miss out on the flavor that the shells bring to the broth, but it will still yield a delicious result. When you add the crab to the soup, it will infuse the broth with its delicate sweetness, creating a beautifully flavorful base for the soup. Next, the vegetables. Malabar spinach, also known as vine spinach or bala, is a leafy green that brings a slightly tangy flavor to the soup. It's not actually related to traditional spinach, but has similar nutritional properties, including being rich in iron, calcium, and antioxidants. Its thick, succulent leaves soften as they cook, adding a lovely texture and color to the broth. Jute leaves, often used in traditional soups like this one, also have cooling properties, making the soup particularly refreshing and ideal for hot summer days. Both of these leafy greens bring a wonderful balance of nutrients, contributing to the soup's health benefits, while also complementing the crab with their slightly earthy, refreshing flavors. Start by preparing the crab. If you're using whole crabs, you'll need to clean them thoroughly, crack the shells, and extract the meat. You can also use a mallet or a crab cracker to break the shells open, and be sure to keep some of the shells intact, as they will be added to the soup to infuse the broth with their flavors. If you're using crab meat, simply set it aside to add later. For the vegetables, wash the Malabar spinach and jute leaves well to remove any dirt. Malabar spinach tends to be a bit more succulent than regular spinach, so be sure to trim off any tough stems. Tear the leaves into manageable pieces and set them aside. Jute leaves are similar in texture to Malabar spinach, but their earthy flavor will intensify as they cook, adding depth to the soup. To start cooking the soup, heat a pot over medium heat and add a little oil. When the oil is warm, toss in some finely chopped garlic and ginger. These aromatics form the base of the soup, and their fragrant, warming qualities will infuse the broth with a savory depth. Stir the garlic and ginger for a minute or two until they become fragrant, but be careful not to burn them. If you prefer a little heat, you can also add some chopped chili at this stage. Once the garlic and ginger are softened, it's time to add the crab. If you're using whole crabs, drop them into the pot and let them cook for a few minutes, turning them to release their flavors. The crab will start to impart its sweetness into the oil, and you'll notice the broth begin to develop a rich, briny depth. If you're using pre-cooked crab meat, simply add it later along with the leafy greens. Now it's time to add the water or broth. For extra richness, you could use a light chicken or vegetable broth, but water works just fine if you're looking for something lighter. Bring the liquid to a gentle boil, then reduce the heat to simmer. Allow the crab and aromatics to cook together for about 10 to 15 minutes, which will allow the flavors to meld together and the crab's sweetness to infuse the soup. Once the broth has developed a nice flavor, it's time to add the Malabar spinach and jute leaves. The leaves will wilt and soften quickly, infusing the soup with their vibrant color and their slightly tangy flavor. Let them simmer in the soup for another 5 to 10 minutes until they're tender and the flavors have blended together. The greens will add a lovely freshness to the soup, and the texture of the softened leaves will provide a beautiful contrast to the crab's delicate meat. Now, taste the soup. You might want to add a little salt and pepper to bring everything into balance. If you enjoy a touch of acidity, a squeeze of fresh lime or lemon juice can brighten the flavors and add a bit of contrast to the richness of the broth. You could also add a splash of fish sauce for extra umami, if desired, though the sweetness of the crab and the earthiness of the greens may be all the seasoning you need. When the soup is ready, ladle it into bowls, making sure each serving gets a generous portion of the crab, greens, and broth. The soup should be light yet flavorful, with a slight sweetness from the crab, a refreshing tang from the Malabar spinach, and a soft, earthy undertone from the jute leaves. The broth should be clear but rich, offering the perfect balance of depth and delicacy. This crab soup with Malabar spinach is truly a celebration of fresh, wholesome ingredients, and it's the kind of dish that feels incredibly satisfying yet light. The cooling properties of the soup, thanks to the Malabar spinach and jute leaves, make it perfect for hot weather, offering a refreshing yet hearty meal. Not only is it delicious, but it's packed with nutrients, particularly calcium, iron, and vitamin C, making it a wonderfully nourishing option. The crab adds a rich, natural sweetness to the broth, while the greens bring a mild bitterness that balances the flavors beautifully. When you share this soup with others, it's a wonderful way to introduce them to the joys of traditional dishes made with fresh, seasonal ingredients. The flavors are clean, vibrant, and comforting, and the soup has a subtle elegance that's perfect for both casual meals and special occasions. Whether you're enjoying it on your own as a nourishing bowl of comfort or serving it to friends and family, this dish brings people together with its delicious, wholesome flavors. So, next time you're looking for something light yet fulfilling, look no further than crab soup with Malabar spinach. With just a few simple ingredients and a little bit of time, you'll have a bowl of soup that's not only packed with flavor, but also with all the goodness your body needs to stay nourished and refreshed.